All right. Well, greetings, everybody. Welcome once again to the Small Business Podcast, sponsored as always by Vibrant Community Consulting, working hard to increase the vibrancy of rural communities. SSB, as you guys know, is a specific program of Vibrant Community Consulting, really dedicated to resourcing, training, and championing the smallest of small businesses in our communities. My name is Steve Fredland, and I'm the Chief Catalyst for Vibrant Community Consulting and also host of this podcast. And today, we are going to introduce you to another small business owner that you need to know of. She's a member of one of our great community partners in East Central Minnesota. And so I will let her tell you all about that stuff, but welcome in Kay. How the heck are you?
Doing good. Yeah.
So Kay Schwab, True Service Plumbing, Wyoming, Minnesota. What is this deal? What is True Service Plumbing?
Well, True Service Plumbing was an adventure that my husband and I started about almost 6 years ago now. We decided that Mark had become his master plumber. So he's got his master's plumbing license. He had been working for another company. And at that time, we decided to grab a couple of teenage kids and drop off a cliff and start our own business. So,
were they your own teenage kids or just grab
our own teenage, yeah.
Well,
yes, they were our own teenage kids. So we have been in business for a little while now. Again, small family company that's growing. I'm happy and proud to say this year we got to hire our first non-family employee.
Yes.
Yay! Yes, so that has been exciting. That is a hurdle too. I had to learn all about workman's comp and how we do that and all that kind of fun stuff. But we're getting there. I'm learning things every day, and we're just moving forward one step at a time. So yeah, but we do all sorts of plumbing needs. We do a lot of service calls, and we also do some bigger projects, remodels. We can do like commercial. We stay away from a lot of the new builds because of what we are. That's just kind of our niche. We love the remodels. We love going in and helping people redo their bathrooms or redo their kitchen, all kind of fun stuff. So
let's talk a little bit about that. So it's True Service Plumbing, and I think plumbing, okay, you're doing the pipes, you're doing the water, but you're talking about now remodeling people's bathrooms. Like where does your role start and kind of end in terms of that part of it? You know, if people are putting a new tile and a new bathtub and all that kind of stuff, where's your role in that?
So our role is, okay, so the longer way to process this is, let's think of, okay, we're going to do a basement bathroom. So you've got the rough in already there. You've got your home, you just never finished the basement bathroom.
Yeah.
Well, then we look at that and we go, oh, well, we need to do a little jackhammering. We need to get the ground run moved over. We want to have the shower in this location and the toilet in this location. And then we have to make sure it's by code. So their code has certain amount of space between all those items. We have to make sure that they'll fit. So Mark will come in, might draw all over the concrete. They'll make sure everything fits where they want, and then they'll jackhammer out. And then they'll put in the ground run, and then they'll put in what's called the rough-in valve. So if you have a shower, the main valve that controls the whole system goes in the wall. So they'll do that kind of stuff, and then we turn it over. So we're not tile experts. So if you're going to do a tile shower, then we'll turn it over to the tile guy. If you're going to do a surround, like a Sterling surround, where I kind of think of them as big, huge Lego pieces. They're really nice, but they kind of go together. We can set that for you. So the tub and shower, if it's got the sides that's made out of that kind of, it looks like plastic, but it's not material, we can do all of that. So we do a lot of that where we switch, where somebody says, oh, you know what, we're getting a little older. We don't want to do this tub anymore. We want to walk and shower, but we don't want to do the whole tile situation. We could come in and put in a new tub and surround or a new shower, walk and shower for you. In fact, we even did that for my parents. My mom's had 3 knee surgeries. And so we took her tub out and said enough is enough. And she just loves it. So, and that was just basically my team doing the shower set. And then we had another gentleman come in and do the tile for him. So, and that was like the tile for.
Are you sort of serving as a general contractor in that, in terms of you guys do it all, but you outsource it, or do we as a homeowner, do I hire someone to do the jackhammering and then have you come in? How much of that does your group do you organize all of it? Or how does that work?
It depends on the project. So we would do all the jackhammering and do all that and patching and stuff because we'd have that inspected by the city. We pull the plumbing permit for the city. We have all that groundwork done. We have the city meet mark out there and approve it. And then we go forward. We fill in the concrete. We do all of that for you. But when it comes to the fine details of laying a tile floor or whatever it may be, laminate, that's where somebody else would step in. We have lots of contacts. We've been doing this for quite some time. So we have lots of contacts so we can help the homeowner and say, hey, if you want to do that, here's a phone number for this person to do that piece of it. So we do have that. Or, hey, you need a sheetrock repair. We got a great drywall guy that we've worked with for the last 5 years. So here's his phone number. So that's if the family wants to take it on themselves, that's fine too. I do have some people that have come in and said, okay, well, Mark's going to do this. In fact, we're on a project in Forest Lake right now where Mark's gone in, he's done the jackhammering, he's done the placement of everything, he set the tub, and now the family's doing the tile, which is the great. If you'd like to tile, I do not. But if you do, yeah. So it just depends on the situation. And then, like I said, we have bigger contractors where they take over the whole project and we come in and just do the plumbing work for them. So it just depends on the situation and the homeowner and what they've got going on. So and then of course
please go ahead. I'm sorry.
And then of course we do a lot of the service things like, oh, my water heater is leaking. Well, that's just us coming out, switching the water heater, or my water softener's not working. Then that's more of a service thing where we get out there, we look at it and we replace it for you. So, and we can do one of two things. With, like, say, the water softener, we could say, you know what, go to Menards, buy the Morton System Saver. It's a good deal for the money. You're gonna, go get that if you want to get it yourself. And then we'll come and install it, that kind of stuff. So it depends on the situation and who we're working with, but we try to work with the homeowner or the person as much as possible to get them the best value,
So it all starts with a phone call. Like, I love this idea of it's customized, it's whatever. So we call you, we call True Service Plumbing and we say, hey, here's my situation. Is it just a phone call sometimes to take the next steps, or is there like a free estimate on things, or what's sort of the next step once, like, okay, let me just put a little context here. I always use myself as an example. I think there's a lot of homeowners like me who think I'm 50 years old. I should know everything about my house, right? Like, for whatever reason, we have the societal pressure put on us, maybe, especially men, but I think anybody feeling like I should know this, but I don't. And so, we have sort of this reluctance to get help because we feel like we should know everything. But I just want to call you, I want to call Kay, I want to call Mark and just say, here's the deal. I don't know what's up here, but my water's not acting right or whatever. I mean, is that the kind of thing that you guys will just say, all right, what's going on? Come check out my house and then tell me what my next steps are?
Exactly. So what we'll do is either we'll come in, depending on what it is, with technology is a great thing too. So, like, say somebody says, hey, Kay, I've got a water heater issue. I'm like, well, what kind of water heater? Is it an atmosphere? Is it a power bench? Is it 50 gallon, 40 gallon? They're like, I don't know. I'll be like, take a picture of it for me. Yeah, exactly. Go take a bunch of pictures downstairs for me. Send them to me. That saves a trip for you and I. And Mark will look at it and say, oh, that's a 50 gallon and we need to redo this, and we can give you an estimate. So things like that are very easy to do just with technology. Now, things like say a sump pump or something like that, Mark might want to say, okay, let me come out and take a peek, see what you got going on, let you know what we need to do. And it might be something where he says, you can go get that product if you want, or I'll pick it up for you. You guys can make that decision. And then we'll schedule a time to get out and fix it. So yeah, kind of how it works.
Yeah.
And then, we even do things like gas lines. So, like, if you say, okay, I'm getting a new gas stove, we'll be like, okay, let's go out. We've done this not too long ago. Let's go out, look and see what you've got for gas. Can we make this work to get to the kitchen, and how much it's going to be to get to the kitchen if you want to switch over from electric to gas. Let's take a peek and see what you've got. Okay, great. Mark will give you an estimate, let you know that's all free. We're going to tell you how much it's going to be. And they say, okay, great. Then call me when your stove is actually delivered. Especially now during COVID, nobody can get anything delivered. So,
right. Well, it feels like, one of the things, I think you think, how often do you need a plumber? Well, more often than you think is the answer. And I feel like it's one of those things, like, it's almost like finding a good barber or finding a good mechanic.
Yes.
I've struggled with that. Like, I've used different, plumbers through my life, but I've never found the one that I'm like, this is the right person. And so talk a little bit about that. Like, how important is it, or how, I guess, stress relieving is it for for a customer, I guess, to find you and just like, okay, good. If I have any questions about gas line, water, remodel, I can just call Kay and Mark and
Yep.
to talk a little bit about the relationship side of it and how important it is to have a trusted plumber.
Yes, it is very important, and that's what we want to do is build that trust. I mean, so example is we might give an estimate, which are good for you, and you look at it and go, oh, okay, that's we got to get some ducks in a row, and that's fine. Just call me when you're ready, but we're here for you when you're ready to pull the pin basically and get that project started. So yeah. So
I love that. Well, we need to talk anyway, because I actually have a couple of projects I've been putting off. And frankly, I've been putting them off because I just don't have the plumber that I'm just like, I just don't know somebody that's really trusted. And I know you and I were in a networking group on, I need to get a hold of them. And I just never did. And so now I we can both remind each other to put that out there. But I think talk a little bit about, there's smaller companies, there's bigger companies, but talk a little bit about the value of working with somebody that's more like local. And, for me, I immediately think, well, there's got to be some accountability there, right? Because I mean, you guys aren't going to screw anybody over because you like live here, work here, and it's your whole brand. But, either talk about that or talk about other things of what are the advantages of working with sort of a smaller, a smaller entrepreneur business?
Yeah. So I just jumped off my job was a marketing director for an assisted living facility. So that just happened last June. And we decided that I was just spread too thin and we were going to go for mom just being in the office all day. So that has been a great kind of fun thing. So I used to be the face of that assisted living, plus trying to be the face of my plumbing company. And so with that being said, and of course, COVID's given us some challenges, but I myself try to be involved in the community as much as possible. So I'm part of the Quad Chamber of Commerce. I'm in a BNI group. I'm in a Rotary group. So you'll see my face quite a bit out there. So that's the first step is I want people to know, hey, call Kay because she's trustworthy. We've done projects together. We've done things. And her husband is a great guy and he comes out and does great work. So that is kind of how I just kind of move forward and how, as you have a business, you got to keep moving forward with small steps. So that's kind of how we as a family move forward is like, okay, let's, get Kay out there to kind of keep our face out there. Working with a small business, yes, because of that, there's accountability. You know what I mean? If something goes wrong, you basically kind of know where I live. I've got 2 kids in the community and you know where to kind of find me.
Well, it's true though. I mean, it's true, right? And word gets around in a small town, right?
Yes, exactly. And there's lots of bigger competitors out there and not to say anything about them, but because we're a small business and we work in the community and we're in the community, you probably will see me at Cub or wherever it may be. The fact of the matter is we're going to be fair and we're going to be just because not only is that ethical, but we're not going to say, oh, get a drain cleaning for so much and then get in there and then charge you a whole bunch more. That's just not how, and that works for a lot of big companies because they get their foot in the door. We don't want any surprises as much as possible. We want to work with you and explain the situation, educate. If there is something we come across and go, oh, this is worse than what we thought, give that back to the homeowner and say, hey, this is worse than what we thought. What do you want to do? That kind of stuff. So,
and as a former marketing person too, that it's a lot cheaper to have recurring customers than to try to keep getting new customers. So if your first experience with you is poor, then you got to go find another new customer versus being able to serve that same person year after year and all the different needs that they have.
Exactly. And that's why I think it's so important. Some of those smaller things, like every job we do, that's not one of my big contractors. In fact, I've even got a couple of them sitting here. I personally write a thank you note to that customer, even if it's a repeat customer, and put in a little magnet, say thank you for choosing us to install your faucet or whatever it may be.
Well, I think that's a great tip for all you small business owners out there listening. That kind of personal follow-up is important. I don't do a great job of it myself, but it's always on my list to do. And I know when I get that, sometimes I'm like, oh, it's a little bit kitschy, but like it still means something. Like they wrote it by hand. They did something. They actually do value that beyond just the fact that they got the check. So I think that's a great insight. I wanted to ask you a little bit about, because time always flies by in these things. I don't want this stuff to go unasked, but I think it's an intriguing situation when you have the husband and the wife, or the two partners that are sharing a business, and it's your whole life now together, right? Like it's like, your whole life is all morphed into the small business and your personal life and all that kind of stuff. So I'm interested in your specific dynamic, because one of you is, I guess, the expert in the field, and the
Yes.
other one is the expert running the business.
Mhm.
And I think it's one thing to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but to say, okay, Mark was working for a company and he now works for himself and he's doing his own thing. He's still doing plumbing and kind of the same sort of thing. You had to learn an entire new career in a sense, right?
Yes.
Because you're managing the
Mhm.
business. So maybe
Mhm.
talk about that in terms of like an entrepreneur who if it's
Yes.
just one person, they have to do both sides of it, the expertise skill here, but then the expertise of running a business. And just how big of an effort was that for you to kind of learn how to be a business owner and all of the stuff that comes with that?
It was large, and I want to say it was scary, but my advice to anybody that wants to do that is perseverance, patience, and know that you're going to make a mistake. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's okay. It might not be a huge mistake. It might be a mistake. And then know your strengths. So obviously I am not a plumber. I am not a master plumber. So that is not my strength. So
That's
I
not
will
obvious to me, by the way. First of all, you said obviously. I don't know that that's obvious. Now it
I
is that
will
you said it.
I will always refer to Mark and say, okay, well, I'll have Mark, we'll get back to you, or we'll get him out there. So that's, know your strengths. I also know your strengths too, that, yeah, I do all of our QuickBooks, I take all of our phone calls and stuff, but I'm not a CPA. So I have accountant people that do that. So my best advice for somebody that's starting out is to look at your strengths. I got to tell you, Mark does not like the office work. When he has to
Hmm.
get in the office work with me, he gets a little crabby. And I'm like, just write it generically. I'll fill in all the other stuff for the estimate. We've done this long enough. And when I say that, he's like, oh, okay. And he just, you know what I mean? So that's not his strength. So I'm going to sit here, which I've got a stack of them, and I'm going to fluff up the nice estimate, put in the proper words, and get them out to people. He's going to go back outside, and he's going to go to the truck, and he's going to plumb. So it is a weird dynamic. It has been a little challenge because we used to have lots of, when I had the other position, we had lots of stuff to talk about, and now it seems like plumbing. So with any relationship, you kind of grow and move and change. So now we're learning to talk about different things, which is interesting because you can't talk about plumbing 24/7 because
Yeah.
that's not fun either. So yeah. So
Well, that is interesting. Like I love that, because you lose sight of the fact that you're people and you're married and you have a relationship, and you might even have a
yes.
relationship that doesn't involve true service plumbing. Like, turns out there might be other things in the world, but it's very easy to get locked into that. I think most of us know what it's like. We come home from work or whatever, and we just share our thoughts in the day, and it ends up being that's all you talk about. But I think being
Yeah.
intentional about finding other things in common beyond
Yeah.
just work. So what would you say now? You're 6 years into this thing, or so, 6, 7 years into this
Yep.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that from an entrepreneurial business startup perspective, what do you wish you would have known back then that you've since learned? Whether it's about knowing your strengths, whether it's about something, tactical or strategic, but if you were to go back and kind of restart based on what you've learned over the last few years, anything you do different, or anything that you would apply differently?
I think the biggest thing to apply, which I've learned, is just to kind of slow down and
Hmm.
think and try to take in all the pieces, because running a company has so many pieces, and then using your assets and surrounding yourself with people like
Hmm.
like Steve, you're a business coach with small businesses. So surrounding myself with somebody that, hey, I don't have all the answers, but Steve has learned this or done this in the past, or and just kind of surrounding yourself with people that can kind of assist you or guide you, and be okay to say, hey, I don't know everything and I need to learn. So, and I think life is always about learning and growing. So, if you continue to move forward and grow and learn, it just makes your life a whole lot easier, and sharing stories. And, even if it's, something about what somebody else did in their business, and just going, oh, that's, like we're doing right now,
Yeah,
it's,
exactly.
it just helps it move forward, and it just be open-minded and learn new things and keep moving forward. Another huge thing that I've learned that is so important, and like we go back to the whole small business thing in town, is word of mouth.
Hmm.
And I can't stress people enough that I can't thank the people enough that I've known over the years that when you say plumber, they go, hey, Mark and Kay, you know what I mean? So So that is just, and being very grateful, and it's actually a humbling experience. Like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. You know, if somebody goes on by themselves to Google and puts in a review, and I didn't ask them to, and it pops up and tells me I've got a great review, I'm like, oh, that's gonna bring a tear to my eye, you know.
That is a humbling thing. And I think, it's one thing
Yeah.
if you like pay for advertising, you pay for marketing, and you get customers, you think,
Mhm.
well, that's what should happen. But then when somebody does something unsolicited that they didn't need to do, it is a humbling, beautiful
Mhm.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm curious your thoughts on, I love what you said there, but why people don't connect. So what are your thoughts on why they don't connect? You said, that's really important to connect with
Mhm.
people, to kind of slow down, surround yourself with the right people, connect with the right people. And so for entrepreneurs out there that are going, well, I really haven't done that. What's
Mhm.
your thought on maybe why they haven't done that? Is it because they feel like they should know all the answers, and they're not, they don't have the humility to ask, or they don't have the time, or what's keeping people from making those really life-giving, business transforming connections?
I think a big thing is time. And then I also think it's a personality. So connecting is easier for me. I am much a more oral person and can speak versus, some people are more introvert. And so that
Mhm.
is kind of stepping out of your shell a little bit. And even I get pushed a little bit. There's some friends of mine that push me to keep moving forward in different clubs that I'm in. And there's a Toastmasters thing and public speaking. So I know I've got friends that have said, that they're part of this group, and one of the things they've learned is just how to be a better promoter. Actually, promoting your own business is kind of difficult without like sounding like you're bragging about yourself. So
Right.
yeah, so it's a combination of that promotion, but yet then listening to you. So yes, Steve, if I'm going to promote my business with you, I need to sit down and listen and tell me all about what you're doing, and
Yeah.
I need to be engaged in that. So yes, it's always, nice to talk about myself and what we do and my family and blah. But I also need to, you need to like just go, okay, you know what? I don't have to be in charge of all of the conversations. I can just ask questions like you're doing to me today and learn. And from that, I guarantee you're going to learn one thing, maybe at some point within that. See, it's a 30-minute conversation. You're going to learn one thing that's going to be like, ooh, I should apply that. Or that was good information. So that is kind of my thought process on how that all works, is slowing down, getting involved, and trying to have the time to do that. And I understand time is the biggest
Mhm.
thing, and time management is really hard. It is, and there's always so many things pulling at us. Whether you're a mother or father or single or whatever it may be, there's always time constraints. So just learning how to manage that time is huge.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, a business coach, I mean, that's typically what everybody wants. What it always boils down to is I want to make more money and work less hours. Like that's ultimately what people want. But come on, some of the keys to that are things that you mentioned: being able to slow down, know your strengths, surround yourself with the right people, focus on the main things. I think you've touched on a lot of this. Your business coaching is sort of the next thing you're going to do after this whole thing. But you make it sound easy. Just slow down, surround yourself with the right people. I
Yeah.
think those are great words of wisdom, and I know we're getting to time already here, but
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about how do people get a hold of you? So they're listening to you, going, man, I like how she thinks. You know, as you listen to people, you kind of develop this know, like, trust. I've only heard good things about you and all the connections that I've had. They love you. They love the work that Mark does, all that sort of stuff. So people, if you're listening and you need a plumber, or somebody who needs a plumber, maybe they don't even need a plumber, but they live in this East Central Minnesota area, just connect
Mhm.
with Kay and Mark. And
Mhm.
then you can just kind of rest easy because your stuff's going to get taken care of. So do that first of all. But if people are saying, I want to do that, I like this Kay, I like the cut of her jib, I think Mark sounds like a good guy. How do they connect with you? What's the best way to stay in contact?
So you can always reach us at trueserviceplumbing@gmail.com. We do have a website so you can see some of our work there. That's trueserviceplumbing.com. So you can look us up that way. And through that website too, there's always the page where you can connect that way as well. And it'll show up on my email. And then my office number, which is 763-333-5883.
763 333
Mhm.
5833.
5883.
5883. Oh, I would have double checked before the show notes, but for people that are writing it down right now that don't know what show notes are, we want to make sure we got that right. So thank you for that. Good. So I'd say, and so people are just sort of going like, I don't really know if I need a plumber. I just kind of want to connect and have somebody in my Rolodex that I feel good about.
Mhm.
Just give you a call and say, hey,
Yeah,
I'm this person, I just want to make a connection. And
by all means, or if you want to learn about any of the other groups I mentioned that I'm in, I gladly share that information as well.
yeah, because
If
I
you're
know
a
we
small
only had,
business,
oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, if you're a small business and you're interested in like, oh, how do I get more involved in the community? I can gladly share that as well. So
Oh, I love that too. Yeah, because you're so involved. And so I would encourage you guys, think about that. And I think, we only have a limited amount of time. And I know you already got into some things that I'm like, oh, I didn't really think about that as plumbing. You guys do a ton of stuff, a ton of work to help people improve their home. So connect with Kay, and do that. The last thing I wanted to ask you, I think names are very telling and very interesting. And so true service, obviously, we know what that means, but do you remember kind of the process of selecting a name and why you chose to go down that road? Because there's a lot of different ways you can name yourself as a plumbing company, but you chose True Service. So give us the story behind that, and then we'll let you go.
okay, so we live kind of in the north. So my husband was like true north and
Ah,
being, yeah, and then he was also like, when you look at that, being truthful, like being truthful to your clients, and then also when you look at, which is even more geeky when I talk about him, when you look at a ruler or your measuring lines, you have a true line. So it kind of all encompassed everything we were thinking of, integrity and truthfulness and being in the northern suburbs, and it just all of that kind of stuff kind of just came in, and we said, okay, true service, because obviously we do service and plumbing. So yeah, so that's where the
I
true came
love that.
through,
I
and the
didn't know
rest
that. I love all of that. I just think the naming is a fascinating thing because I just know there's so much thought that goes into a name, and all you kind of see
yes,
is one name, and people have a perspective of that. So don't gloss over it. I love that. True north, true integrity, true line, all that kind of stuff.
yes, exactly,
There you
exactly.
go.
So
Well, any final words of wisdom before we wrap up here?
uh, God, no, it is
Put you on the spot.
like, give you all my wisdom. No.
Well, guys,
Yeah, no, but like I said, if you need a plumber, give us a call. And Steve is doing a fabulous job. Thank you for inviting me on. You're doing a great job with small businesses, and it's very exciting to watch you grow too and see all the things. I mean, we've had some one-to-one conversations, and it's been fun to kind of see how you've kept moving this forward, especially during 2020.
yeah.
So
Interesting times for sure. And like we've had to morph and adapt quite a bit more than we thought we'd have to try to figure
mhm,
out what is our niche in this sort of a COVID world. But it's been
yes.
interesting. But yeah, thank you, Kay. And I want to get a shout out to the Quad Area Chamber of Commerce as well. I know Dorothy's doing some cool things there, and you're plugged in, and they're one of our community partners. So a shout out
Yep.
to them as well. But we'll let you go, Kay, here. But just if you guys are listening to this thing, check out small business.com. We got all the information you need
Mhm.
right out there. We're part of this whole thing that we call Vibrant Community Consulting. So we're helping small businesses resource them, train them, champion them, but it's part of a bigger movement of trying to create greater vibrancy in our communities. And so if that's
Yes.
something you want to tap into, that's something that we're doing in a lot of different places. But yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel, check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn. If you have any questions, just email me, steve@smallbusiness.com, especially if you're not sure, okay, I listened to Kay, I liked her, but I've missed how to get connected with her. Reach out to me, I'll connect you as well. But Kay, thanks again, and we'll chat with all you guys next week.
All right. Thanks, Steve.